In a small mining town in Australia, a young sheriff with daddy issues hops into action to take on a bloodthirsty zombie kangaroo. And she gets the help of Corporal Hicks to take down this CGI'd beast. If this sounds like fun, don't worry, because our cast of characters will make sure to keep things super serious and dark in The Red, aka Rippy. Hello there, you loose units, and welcome back to another episode of Spicy Boy Reviews. I'm, of course, your host, Andrew Iles. That's right, The Red, or Rippy, depending on where you are in the world, came out last year around Halloween time. And since this film is made in my country and it is a horror, I thought I was obliged to give it a cheeky little review. This film is directed by Ryan Coonan, based on his short film Waterborne back in 2014, and this being his feature film debut. We begin the film on some narration exposition dumping by our lead, Maddie, who is the local town sheriff and informs us that her deceased father is a local hero, and her whole existence is living up to his image. So you better get used to this plot point, because every scene that Maddie's in, or any other supporting character for that matter, keeps bringing up her deceased father, and it never gets old. We are then introduced to old kooky ex-veteran Schmitty, who's tracking and hunting his supper with his trusty red dog. But wouldn't you know it? A massive wild beast comes out of nowhere and attacks Schmitty and his dog. And even though he shoots it point blank, it gets away unscathed. And Schmitty's red dog is missing. He figures it's a good idea to go into town and maniacally babble to Maddie that it was a zombie mutated kangaroo that he has named Rippy. Clever. Of course, Maddie thinks that Schmitty's on the piss and dismisses him as his crazy old self. Then Maddie breaks up a fight between two pisshead mining workers in the local pub, and she sends them to walk home in the dark, which can only go well. This is when Rippy attacks out of nowhere again in a field, and the two mining workers end up on the slab. Then we've got some time before the next kill happens in town, so Maddie decides that, she's about 2 hours late from her dour D&M about her deceased father. So she has a long-winded monologue with pub owner Donna, who happens to be Schmitty's ex-wife, yet again about her deceased father. Afterwards, however, Maddie decides to do some detective work and check the system to see if there's any ex-cons in the area. You know, someone that could potentially torn up these two mining workers. And wouldn't you know it, there just so happens to be a huge mungus ex-con with a rap sheet full of naughtiness who just so happens to also be a mining worker in town. She questions this enormous suspect and Rictus arrests him as he has no alibi. Well, there you go. This is clearly the guy who did it. No need for more detective work or questioning. Lock him up and throw away the key. Then it's time for Maddie to head on down to the pub and have another dour dark D&M with Donna about her deceased father. But wouldn't you know it? Another townsfolk is slaughtered by a mysterious beast and the hunt continues. I guess it's clearly not the monstrous suspect ex-con that's sitting in a jail cell. Probably best to let him out. No, don't worry about letting him out just yet. He's got to stay in that cell for some sequel bait scene at the end of the film. And besides, we've got some more emoting monologuing to do about a deceased father. Maddie starts to suspect that Schmitty may have been right and gives him a visit. Plus two, Schmitty hasn't heard a dark, dour, deceased father monologue yet. But Schmitty's having none of it! He's got a monologue of his own and out-sombers Maddie. Game recognises game here, and Maddie likes the cut of Schmitty's jib. So decides to put him on a hunting party along with his ex-wife Donna, and a gang of misfits to go out into the bush and hunt this zombie-roo. It's fair to say that things go tits up, and the townsfolk must make a last stand in the pub. But of course, Maddie has time to squeeze in one more dark, dour, deceased father monologue, and discovers some suppressed memories about her father's death. Everything about this film screams to me Ozploitation madness, which is what piqued my interest in the first place. You know, giving me a feel of the film Razorback. But this film plays it 100% super straight, being uber serious, and every character playing every scene dark and dour. Every delivery is tortured and earnest for reasons. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with making a super dark, serious movie. But when your beast killer of the film is a CGI'd zombie mutated kangaroo, I feel like the task was slightly misunderstood. If you were going to go down the dark and serious path and have a monster in the background sort of killing townsfolk, you might have wanted to choose maybe a mysterious Bigfoot or a Bunyip to keep with the Australian mythology. It would have been a better choice. The concept of the film is really silly and tongue-in-cheek, but then you've got a super serious dark thriller with a lot of gravelly, whispering, delivered dialogue from the Sam Worthington School of Acting. The film is void of all fun and humour. In saying that though, every actor in this film is acting the shit out of their scenes. They're really committing to the moodiness and misery, like they're acting in an Australian crime suburban thriller. Were they not told that the killer in this film is a bloodthirsty mutated kangaroo? The choices are baffling here. However, I don't blame the actors as they are giving their all and are quite good. But again, there is no joy or fun. I will say though that Michael Biehn, he could read the back of a shampoo bottle and make it sound grand and haunting, as he has this effortless intensity with every word that leaves his mouth. I miss seeing this guy on screen, honestly. It felt like he was in every film throughout my childhood. The structure of this film is primarily a condensed version of Jaws. You've got a local sheriff whose town is traumatised by a killer animal, and all the townsfolk are desperately looking at them to save the day, and enlists the help of a mysterious kooky old veteran hunter. I mean, if you're going to borrow the structure of anything, borrow from the best. And honestly, this film is decently directed with some nice technical shots. However, at 1 hour and 23 minutes, it did feel like it dragged. And that's primarily due to the heaviness and darkness of the script and acting. And we kind of get a reveal of why this mutated zombie kangaroo exists. How it came to be, if you will. It's kind of an expansion on the short film Waterborne that this movie's based on, as that film was a bit of a setup for this one. And as I alluded to before, there is a pre-credit scene that is a bit of sequel bait, which I'm sure if this film makes enough of a profit, we will get down the track. I appreciate that someone went out there, got some funding, and made a movie. I commend any indie filmmaker that rolls up their sleeves and gets it done. They've created something from scratch, which is more than what I've done in the film industry. But I think the film would have fared a bit more better with more fun, less heaviness, and some more Ozploitation madness. But hey, that's just me. Anyway guys, that's my cheeky little review of The Red or Rippy, depending on where you live in the world. Right down below this scene, what are your thoughts on it, but more importantly, what is your favourite killer animal movie? And of course, if you've made it this far into the episode, please give me a thumbs up because your love and support keeps me going, because I just love movies and I assume you do as well. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe icon because I give an episode weekly, and I'll see you back here next week for the next review, but until then, stay spooky, kids.